Hello, Simon Taylor has challenged me to be brutally honest and say who I will be voting for in the leadership challenge. Well, the answer is I won't. I let my card lapse, so I have no right to vote. And I'm rather relieved. I was going to stand for a parliamentary seat some time ago, and I chose not to take that any further because I didn't particularly want to have anything to do with either Mrs. May or Andrea Leadsom. That was the choice at the time, and I had come up against both of these people with respect to student visas. Initially, Andrea Leadsom, who I felt hectored me, and later I was passed on to Mrs. May, who did much the same, frankly. And I prefer to erase that memory from my mind. As for Boris, I knew him long ago, and I have said before that at the last election I was in a television studio sitting round a table with his sister, his father, and Rory Stewart, if I remember correctly. I've crossed paths with Boris on a number of occasions, and I am disappointed, deeply disappointed by his behaviour, particularly since Christmas. And I think he had every reason to go, and he should have gone sooner. And before he went, he should have taken the act of ensuring there was a reasonable person to succeed him, to follow him. There were many, many options available, and he chose none of them. And I hold him in utter and complete contempt for that, saving his skin and looking for his own future rather than the future of the country. And that is something, if you read David Cameron's autobiography, is right at the beginning of the book about the fact that when the hung parliament threatened, he was thinking about the future of the country rather than about saving his own soul. But that's what he said anyway. And I would also look over to the Labour Party for the same sort of moral guidelines, and I think they are absent in Boris Johnson. And I think we knew this all along. But I think much more seriously, there are no advisors around who are going to challenge the Premier. And if there are no advisors to challenge Boris, there'll be no advisor to challenge Liz Truss should she get the keys to number 10. I find that very, very worrying. And as for Rishi Sunak, well, I think he does take advice. And that is the big difference between the two of them. I don't care about their policies. They're playing to the gallery. What I care about is whether or not they're prepared to take advice and change their mind. And Liz Truss is working on an imitation of somebody who never existed. She has become the BBC version of Mrs. Thatcher, the person who doesn't listen, the lady who is not for turning. Well, I can say categorically, the Mrs. Thatcher that I was aware of turned all the time. That she made change after change after change. And if you compare the policies put forward in the election manifestos with what happened in the parliament that followed, not all of it was a change for the better, but most of it was a change. I don't see that happening under Liz Truss. Not only does she not like changing her mind, she tells us we haven't been listening. And more than that, and much more than that, she makes mistake after piddling mistake. And it is exhausting watching these appalling performances in front of journalists, in front of senior diplomats from other countries, in front of the world press. Mistake after mistake. And I do not understand how anybody can possibly, in their right mind, vote this person even into the Foreign Office, let alone into number 10. I do not understand it. All I can hope for is that she's surrounded by people who will have better sense, and that she will in fact be minded to listen to them. The one positive I can say is at the moment, the noises that we're hearing is that she is thinking about assembling a very impressive cabinet. Not necessarily people I like. Who cares what I like? But people with sound judgment. And there are too many lightweights in the present cabinet, so they really do need to be shifted aside. The sooner they go, the better.